Good morning and welcome to H3 TV, where we come to you every week and we say, even in the hard, even in the disruptions, we believe there is still hope, health, and happiness to be had. And so I love to come to you every week with encouragement, with ideas, with strategies, with new friends for you to meet. I love to invite my friends and community to share their wisdom with you. And today I have the pleasure of having a new friend. Her name is Bethany. Please help me welcome Bethany to the stage. Hey, Bethany, how are you?
Hello, thanks for having me. I'm great.
Absolutely. Glad to have you. And I forgot to say to our listeners, if at any point, whether you're watching this live or later, you have a question or comment from myself or Bethany, we love to hear where you're from, what you're thinking about, and how we can support you on your journey. So, Bethany, tell us who you are, where you live, what you do, all the good things.
I love it. Well, my name is Bethany Joy. I live here in Palm Bay, Florida. I'm a single mom of three amazing boys, and I'm what they call a Christian mental health coach. I work with people to go deeper connection because you know what? We're not meant to do life alone. Big shock. And my motto is always dare to do more than just survive, step out and thrive. And I want to see people do that with community because we all need a place to belong.
I love that. I couldn't agree more with you. And what I really think is that um, I think we used to be better at connections and community. I think we used to be able to stop over for the cup of coffee, and now it is so planned and so distant. I mean, I literally, I feel like I'm going to get arrested someday for harassing people on airplanes, but everyone plugs those things into their ears. I don't put things in my ears. Like I want my
Yes,
hearing, we've talked about hearing lobe, but people are so disconnected and shut into themselves. And so I
exactly.
love what you do. I love that it's the heart of faith, that it's a place to meet people in their mental health, which we all have mental health, and we're all on a journey of completely balanced and calm to chaos and confusion, right? And so I love that you meet people there. Bethany, what I'd love for our listeners to get to know you a little bit is tell us about a disruption you have faced in your life. What's been a disruption you faced or overcome?
Yes. So a couple years ago, I found myself outside the orthodontist office just a couple hours after I got the call that changed everything. And the call was, Bethany, I know you're a single mom. I know you're dealing a lot right now, but you're going to lose probably the rest of your vision and hearing. And they're probably going to happen at the same time. And we don't know when and we don't know where. And that moment literally changed everything in my life because I have charge syndrome. I have a lot of different physical challenges, and I worked hard
Can you say
to
it
get
again?
to this
What
place. I
what
have
sort of
charge. It's spelled CHARGE,
okay,
and people can Google it. It's fun, but it's one of those rare actually challenges that a lot of people have. But it's a big spectrum, and so I worked hard to deal with my vision, to deal with my hearing, to deal with my birth defects, and here I was, and I was like, okay, God, now I'm gonna lose all of it. Now what? So, yeah.
and where are you on that journey right now? Can you still see? Can you still hear? What is your
Yes. So I get people I joke with my teenager because he's got AirPods. I'm like, "Bro, I had AirPods years before you did. They're called hearing aids." Sorry. And everybody's like, "What is this? Turning out the background noise. All I have to do is click, off and they're gone." And so anyway, our life is very different than most. But all of this to say right now I have profound hearing loss. So the streaming is going right into my hearing aid right now, which is amazing.
okay?
And vision, I just got my guide dog who's right beneath me right now a couple weeks ago, and we're learning to get out because I'm one of those that everybody's like, "Oh, I need to leave the house." I'm like, "Oh, I went skydiving like a couple weeks ago." Like I'm just that kind of person, so they don't know what to do with me. So that's yeah.
I love that. So no vision at all right now, or you can see a little bit of movement or color or
I can see a little bit. I tell people now this is gonna probably show my age. So here we go. I found this out yesterday, sharing this story. But you know how like in the old days they call it, where they had the TV antennas and it would
yes.
get fuzzy and you had to adjust it. Yeah, okay. Some people don't know what that is today, just FYI. So that could tell our age. I'm like, oh my goodness. But anyway, that is kind of what happens with my vision. The morning kind of starts decent, like it's still not great, but towards the end of the day and the more energy I put in, it gets less and less and less. So I'm learning not to rely fully on my vision or even my hearing. So
Nice.
yeah.
Well, I want to tell you, since your vision's a little blurry, I'm like a 6 foot tall, super fit model. I mean, like
Woohoo!
magazines are chasing me like crazy. No, the greatest thing about you, Bethany, is you have a great sense of humor, and
Love it.
I love. I think I know. I don't just think laughter is medicine. Like it is here. Like when we don't take ourselves too seriously, when you get a mess with your teenage kids, like it's my favorite. Like I'm
Yes.
constantly irritating I have 3 adult children and they're like, Mother, you're weird. I'm like, well, some
Thank
people
you.
don't think that. Yeah, exactly. We're taking it as a compliment. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
I love it.
So
Well, and it's funny because our last name, when I was married, our last name is Boring, Boring. And I told my boys, I'm like, you guys don't understand what a gift this is. Because I mean, you get teased all the time. I said, no, you are the only person that does not have to live up to your last name. And they're just like, so yeah, there you go.
I love that. It's kind of my guarantee in marriage. I tell my husband, I'm a lot of things, but I promise you, I will never be boring. I may do
Yes.
other things. There might be things you wish I wasn't, but I will never, I promise you will never. And he's like, I am never bored with you ever. I never know what
Yes.
you're doing or where you're going or how many things, but yeah. So Bethany, how did you stay? I mean, that's a scary call. That's a
Yeah.
hard call, right? Like we have so many of our listeners that have had diagnosis, have things come at them in relationships and in health that they're just like, I don't know what to do about me. Like, I just want to give up.
Yeah.
This is such a scary diagnosis. It's such a scary place to be with this disruption. So how did you stay hopeful after receiving a call saying, listen, here's the deal. This is as good as it gets and it's not going to get better. It's going to
Yeah.
shift and you got to keep shifting with it as, especially as a single mom, a business owner, hearing you're going to lose your sight and your hearing. How did you stay hopeful? What were some things you did?
Yeah, so like I said, back to that moment, it changed everything. I was outside, like pacing the sidewalk. I got the call a couple hours earlier, and I remember I couldn't even be in the orthodontist office with my kid. He was getting his braces off, and I was feeling I'm a failure as a mom. Like I literally can't even emotionally connect with him right now because I'm just stuck with all of this. And it was at that moment that I was listening to a podcast. It was Dr. Kurt Thompson, great guy, but he's all about look for the beauty. And I was like, pause, can't deal with that right now. Not gonna do it. And something inside me, God just told me, push play. And I'm like, and they started talking about rainbows. And I was kind of listening to it halfway. Right at that moment, I tripped, as we always do, right? Hit the pavement. I'm going, oh my gosh. And at that point, everything just broke, and I'm crying. And all of a sudden I look up and there's a rainbow reflecting. And it was one of those not normal rainbows. It was bright. And I just remember like it made me catch my breath, like, wow. And God's like, see, in that moment, like when you saw that, there's beauty that you can find even in the middle of the chaos. I'm like, that's it. I can choose to look for the beauty in the middle of the chaos. And that's what I did. I made that decision right then and there. Was it easy? No. But it was fun because the boys and I constantly looked for different things to laugh at, different things to see differently, because it doesn't really matter what you're going through. It matters who you're going through it with and really where you want to go. And so, yeah, that's what we decided to do. And so we just made games of it. I even taught my oldest how to drive. Let that one sink in. That was amazing. I need to write a book about that. And so we just took it for what it was, and we took every moment as a gift. And once you start living that way, you can't go back. So that's where it comes from, surviving. You can survive by looking at your experience, defining how hard it is, or you can thrive by looking what's happening in it and use that to develop your story to change the lives around you.
Yeah. There's a whole bunch of things you said there that are so good and important. Even putting that podcast on pause, and then we argue with God sometimes. The frustrating part about that is he never loses. Plus, he never
Yes.
quits. He never quit. I'm like, I don't want to see beauty today. Well, keep your eyes open.
Yes.
Well, I don't want to. Right? Like he just pushed you through. He just held on
Yes.
to you and pushed you through. And sometimes we have to fall face down, literally and figuratively, so that we can realize we can't do it. And we get risen by Christ, who says, you will see beauty. And whether you see
Yes.
it visually or you see it through the glorious experience of, I was wondering if your kids drove, by teaching your kids to drive. So when you can no longer, there will
Mhm.
be a driver there. Like every single sliver of that moment, that you found humor in it, that you were given the glorious gift. And you also talked about a pause. And I think sometimes we lose hope when we're going fast in a tragedy or chaos, and we
Yes.
have to pause. And I feel very blessed that God speaks to me. I know I think he speaks to everyone. I don't think everyone hears him,
Yeah.
but I know that it's in the pause.
Yes.
And I know that it's in the, I don't want to, I'm not going
Yeah.
to, I'm too
Yeah.
busy. I don't have time for you. Life is that he goes, can you just take a pause and I'm going to show you something beautiful. Now, you were given a glorious rainbow. We don't always get a rainbow, but there is that beauty. And that was a gift for you to give that picture, that snapshot to hold on to for the rest of your life in the midst of the darkness, in the midst of the sadness, to say, no, I promise. I didn't promise it will be easy, but I promise I'll never leave you. I promise I'll show you beauty. And so the rainbow is such a beautiful picture, but I always think when we can use our words to paint a picture of what hope looks like, you do a brilliant job of doing that by hitting the ground with sadness and literally falling over, with literally pausing in your own argument where he says, keep playing this. And you're like, I don't want to. Can I have a tantrum? Like someone is like, can I have a tantrum? When do I get to be sad for a minute? Right. And so you did that. And then this glorious rainbow. And now teaching your son to drive. So does he drive now?
He does. He's way older now. He's turning, God help us all, he's turning 18 in January.
Wow.
Anyway,
I know,
so yeah, I still got 2 more coming up. So my other one's got his permit. So it is fun.
That's awesome. And the weird thing about kids, Bethany, is like we don't get older, but they do. Like they outage us. Like we're still young and cool, right?
Exactly, totally. I mean, don't ask, not defined by them, but by other people we're cool, of course.
Or by ourselves. Or by ourselves.
Yes.
And how did you stay healthy? When we have a diagnosis, life can feel kind of grim and hard. And so when I think about health, I think of it in 7 areas. I think we have our physical health, our emotional health, our mental health, our spiritual health, some of the areas you work in, our financial health, our relationships, our career. Like every area of our health affects our physical body, and taking care of ourselves is so important in so many ways. So what were some of the strategies and things you did to not get overwhelmed and to stay with a positive attitude in life?
Yeah, well, that's huge. Well, and to go back to your point, and this is going to connect directly. One thing you mentioned, it is so stinking hard to pause. And yes, and the one thing I did, which I didn't realize at the time, is I made this into interactive appreciation where I do small groups, and I made sure I connected with somebody on a daily basis and said, okay, this is how I felt God moved today. Or I'm sitting here right now and my dog has his paw on my shoe and it's just the cutest thing. And I'm like, okay, like that's an appreciation moment. Like, oh my gosh, I get to sit here, talk to you who's miles away about what's going on, and my dog gets to sit here with me and put his paw on my shoe. Like, you know how many people don't get to do that? Seriously, that's better than a cup of coffee. So all this to say, I made intentions to connect with somebody on a daily basis, not only to share my story, but to make sure that they had space for it. They could ask curious questions. They could be with me in it. And then, ready for this? They can share theirs back with me. It does something to our neural pathways. And so many times we go, oh, we don't have time for this. I beg to differ. I beg you don't have time not to. Because in this day and age, we get so focused on ourselves. We get so focused almost on tunnel vision, and I can say that. And we lose sight really on what's right in front of us. And if we don't have somebody else kind of pointing out, like, wow, that was amazing that happened today, we're going to get sidetracked in all the lies, sidetracked in the negative thinking, and go off the rails. So that is one thing I did. I made myself connect with safe people every single day and share appreciation stories.
I love that. Connect, appreciation. I have a lot of passions, but one of my major passions is also mental health. I lost my brother to suicide, a sister to alcoholism, a father to alcoholism, a nephew to suicide. And so I speak on a lot, and I just came back I've been on filming a reality TV show called The Blocks. And what I was talking about there, because I do these care packages for caregivers, and you're making me think about it and you're 100% right. I just want to reinforce what Bethany just said. I want you to hear it loud and clear. I want you to hear it again and again, and I want you to believe it and live it. We are too busy not to. So what we talked about this week is that a 7-second hug, 7-second hug. We have so many people talking about mental health and anxiety and depression. It totally calms your body and your brain. 7 seconds. It doesn't take long to have a 7-second hug. And listening to someone's story for 7 minutes can save a life. And so I love that you're super intentional, daily connection. But also, we don't just connect to complain. We connect out of curiosity. We connect out of care. We connect out of intention. And so I love that you made that an intention for your health. And that's what I think people sometimes we forget. Well, I didn't make it to the gym. I'm like, okay, don't beat yourself up. What did you do? I talked to
Yes.
someone. I listened to someone. We exchanged respectful stories. I let people ask questions. Tell me more. What does that mean? I let
Yes.
people be curious without feeling judged and without getting angry and judging them for their curiosity. There's like this beautiful exchange. I love that so much because
Yeah.
you're right. We cannot. Likes on social media is not a connection. It is not.
Hmm.
It's great. And if it makes you feel good, that's great. We need to connect face to face, heart to heart, hug to hug, conversation to conversation, better than a cup of coffee, paw on your
Yes.
foot. I have a puppy, he puts his paw on me or he pets me when he wants to be petted, like, hello. And I'm like, I got it, I got it. So, barks at me if I sit at my desk, but that's a beautiful, intentional place to stay healthy, right?
Yeah. And I'll even say this because I'm thinking of the person that's listening. I mean, since we're talking about, deep stuff, I've got some physical trauma, especially with, the procedures and stuff I had to go with. It doesn't even have to be a hug. It can
Mm,
just be, check this out. It could be you sitting with a friend and going, you know what? I don't know what you need right now, but I just want to be with you. And if they
mhm,
said, I don't know what I need more, I'm like, you know what? I'll just sit with you in silence.
mhm.
And when you're ready to break it, I'll be right by you. When have we done that? Like, we freak out in silence. Can you imagine being in the moment where you're allowing that person to stop long enough to feel, and you are not going to leave them in that place? You're not going to try to fix them. You're not going to try to pray it away. You're just going to sit with them and wait for them to respond. That's the
Mm,
best gift we can be. And here's the thing, we cannot give what we ourselves cannot receive. So we need it both ways.
that's
So
right.
it's right there. It's right there. So anyway, yes to what you said. I just wanted to add that little covet in there that you don't have to necessarily have a hug. It just when you know what you need, you can just offer that to a person. Sometimes it's just that quiet space to just be and know that they're cared for.
100%. In fact, there's a picture in the cartoon Winnie the Pooh that I often refer to when I'm speaking because after we survived the hurricane, I couldn't talk to people for a little bit. I was a little like too much and I didn't know what I needed. And then if I shared part of my story, then people wanted to share part of their story. Normally you can
Yes.
listen, but when you're in your own trauma, you sometimes need a break. And there's a picture
Yes.
of Winnie the Pooh sitting on a log
Mm,
and Rue comes along and says, "Hey, Pooh, you want to talk?" And Pooh
mm,
says, "No." Then I'll just sit here. And I just like it, when I saw that cartoon, I think I saw it years ago, but somehow it popped up after the hurricane. And it was like, that, that's what I need.
yes.
Someone to just sit here, not to
Yes.
compare, not to even ask, to just, I'm overwhelmed and I
Yeah.
don't have words in that moment
Yeah.
to listen or to speak. And so, yeah,
Yeah.
that's great.
And let's face it, when we get to that moment, I don't know about you, but the last thing, honestly, I'm thinking I need is somebody to be with me. But then if you just sit there just long enough, just for those first couple seconds, you realize, oh my goodness, this person's not leaving. I'm safe to be around. They think I'm worth sitting for. Oh my goodness, you can have received so much in that silence. And that also goes back to people. We're always wondering about what the right words are to say. I don't know about you, but I do that sometimes. And sometimes I have to realize, wait a second, there's value in just my presence. I just can be with people. And that might just be the very thing that they need. So sometimes I just want to encourage people, don't overthink it.
Yeah.
Invite yourself, be in there, but then, just pay attention to what that person needs and respect. And there's huge, huge, huge walls that can come down and just be in there.
I think a theme for you, Bethany, and one of your many gifts is knowing to be present. Be present
Mm,
in the moment, be present for people, be present in space, hold space with or without words, hold space with God and wonder, hold space with other people, just being present. And I think because we are so busy and on to the next, I mean, right now I'm a lot of on to the next couple weeks and I'm trying to like be in the moment of the where I am, but there's so many things to think about. So
yeah.
thank you for sharing that. Well, I barely know you, just getting to know you, and I can already tell you have a great sense of humor. So tell me about that. How do you find humor or happiness or laughter in the midst of a diagnosis that's scary and not desirable, right? Like how do
Yeah.
you keep your humor? How did you find it then? All the things.
Yeah. So for me, I mean, I've been through a lot, like everybody has, and counselors know me and I know them. And so it's almost a joke that when I would go to a lot of my counseling appointments, it would turn into being all about them because I would laugh my stuff away and then I would ask them curious questions. And I would come back saying, "Okay, I got therapy today," and walk, because that was my huge defense. And so, yes, laughter has been a defense, but at the same time, I've been so aware of it, where I have those caring, loving people in my life, and I love them because I don't know how they do it. I can do the most amazing laughing, whatever, and they will sit there still face and they go, "You can be safe with us." And so,
Mm,
yeah, there is a place where I give humor and I love it because, I need that, what is it? Release in your brain. I can't remember what it is, but that chemical that releases in your brain.
endorphins. Yeah,
Thank
yeah,
you. Thank
yeah.
you. Yes, I need that. But at the same time, it can also be one of those things that I think, is my protection against really hard conversations sometimes, especially about myself. I can be in the darkest woods with other people and I can be 100% there. But when it turns to about me, that's another thing. That's why I had to have people in my life that know me well enough to go, okay, Bethany, I know you're smiling, but I know deep down you're really hurting. Can we just camp out there? I'm willing to stay with you in that. And
Mm,
so both and I think yes, you should have laughter, but yet you should also have people that can go beneath that and go, okay, I'm with you even if you're not laughing. I'm with you in the tears. I'm with you in the silence.
right. And knowing the right people. Plus, I think you
Yes.
have to, I think you can't get through life without, I mean, I laugh at myself so much. And people, Greg's like, my husband say, people don't get your humor. And I'm like, I don't really care. I'm not doing it for
Yeah.
them. I'm doing it for me. Like, this is how I know I'm a dork. I know that
Yeah.
I'm, and I wear the pineapple onesie and people are like, are you for real? I'm like, I'm for real. I'm like, I
Yes.
want people to remember, care for one another, care for yourself first. But also,
Yes.
I think humor helps us survive,
Yes.
but also when we're raising teenage boys, for
Oh my
sure, we
word.
need a sense of humor, for sure.
Yes. Yes. I mean, I joke with my friends all the time. The day I can send all of my 3 kids to school and I don't get a phone call about not having deodorant, or one time I got a call that my child was not wearing underwear and because he just liked it. He liked the way it felt. And I'm like, this is boy mom world all the way. And so us boy moms, we need to stick together. There's a pact, I'm telling you.
100%. The hardest thing about being a boy mom, which I kind of found out recently, and another person told me, did nobody ever tell you that? I was like, no. Like when they get a girlfriend, you're not the main thing. I'm like, no, no, I am the
Oh
main.
my
I'm like,
word.
I remember my son a couple of years ago said, I got to check with her about Christmas. And I was like, well, who's her? I'm her. Who's, I'm super confused by her. They're like, don't you know, like boy mom? I'm like, oh, Lord have mercy. But then you also, I
Yes.
raised 2 boys and you also have that, like, you just took a half-hour shower, we're out of hot water and your hair still
Yes.
smells bad. Oh my gosh, I forgot to wash my hair. I'm like, I don't
Yes.
want to know what you were doing in there for half an hour. Oh my.
Exactly. Yes, that's the stage we're into right now. And I'm like, boys, here's the water bill. I don't know who's going to pay this month, but you're up. Tag.
Exactly. Those half-hour showers. So you do have to laugh, and I also
Yes.
love so much Bethany. You're right. I mean, I feel like even since I was a little girl, you do get trained to smile and laugh and don't share the
Yes.
truth. And so it
Yes.
takes a while to build a trusting relationship where you can be fully
Yes.
transparent and say, I'm joking today, but really I'm in a lot of pain physically,
Yeah.
mentally, emotionally, and to have those real people that can sit and be present and pause and wait for you to feel safe enough to share what's real rather than always being the class clown and to bring
Exactly.
the humor, right? So,
Yeah. So I think what I hear you saying is there is a space for laughter, but then there's also that invitation for people to get to know us better and go beneath there. And that's what's huge because a lot of people don't realize that it could be both and. They're like, well, no, you can have one or the other. I beg to differ. I'm proof you can have both and. So keep the laughter, just have the people closer that can go beneath it.
yeah. So I'm going to ask you, Bethany, let's go back to you being 20 or a very young adult,
Oh
and you
gosh.
get to have vision into where you are today. What
Mm,
wisdom or lessons or encouragement would you as a young woman tell to who you are today or
yeah,
prior?
that's
No, here's what's coming.
that's huge. I love that. I love that question. And I think the biggest thing that I would try to tell myself is that you're worth being with. You are worth being with. And even, I mean, even at a young age, I had, vision challenges. I had hearing challenges. I had a short right arm. I had a pacemaker, vertigo. I mean, I had so many things that people did not want to get curious about. And I couldn't find a way to fit in. And I was so stinking tired of standing out. And it was one of those weird places where it's like, okay, I don't know why I'm here. Like, I do not get it. And it wasn't until years later that I had an amazing, amazing professor actually in college that looked at me and said, you see the world and you hear the world differently. And people do want to hear and see that. You need to find the right people, and they are there. Don't give up looking. And that really helped me keep on going on and begin to share my story. I mean, I'm not going to tell you how old. I'm in my 40s now, and I'm still learning to tell my story because I take things. I'm like, this morning I wake up and I put toothpaste in my mouth and then I brush because that's the way I do it. And people are like, huh? I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. You all don't do it that way. Like it becomes so normal. And just that illustration, they're like, oh wow, that tells me things could be done differently. Oh, okay, cool. So all of that just to go, there are places. So to the one person that be in out there listening, going, I don't know if I have a place. You do, and you can see and hear the world differently. Your people need your story. So don't just throw it away for people that aren't listening. There are people that need it. So don't give up that search.
Yeah, I love that, Bethany. And I think you're 100% right. And it's an important lesson. We all have value to contribute to this world, and all of us are needed by somebody, and all of us have amazing gifts. And when we are younger, I think as we get older, I'm in my 50s, as we get older, we start to go, I don't really care if you don't like me. You don't have to. I'm somewhere
Yes.
up a T. I have worth, even if it's not to you. Right. I think
Yes.
that is kind of part of the acceptance of self, a healing, the embracing the messy. I also love that you use the word curious. I am a
Yes.
ridiculously curious person. I
Yes.
literally get up every morning with 100 questions in my head. And I think I
Yes.
irritate people with all my questions. And I think people are like, would you just stop? But I'm curious. And I would
Yeah.
rather sit in curiosity and ask the questions
Yes.
than sit in judgment and make up a
Yes.
story based on my lens rather than saying, tell me, what does that feel like, Bethany? What does that look like? All the
Exactly.
things. Like, I love curious people. I don't
Yes.
mind when people ask me 100 questions and be like, I don't mean to bother you. I'm like, it's not a bother. I would
Mhm.
rather have you ask than assume,
Yes. Did
right?
you have to walk through something where you had to give yourself permission to ask curious questions? Because I know when I was younger, I would have these moments where I would want to ask questions and I would get shut down. So I had to walk through a place where I'm like, it's okay to ask curious questions and be
Mm.
okay with that. And that's what I'm seeing in you. Like you got to that place where it's like, yes, I can ask curious questions again. And you don't have to be shut down. And there are people that want to have those attention and want to have that space to be with. So you're offering a space for people to like ask questions about themselves. You know what I'm saying? You're offering that space for people. No wonder people love you.
Well, and I think you're right. I mean, I think nobody's ever asked me that question before. It's a good question. Is that as a child, we were very much trained to lie and to smile. And if
Mm,
people ask anything, just lie, just say everything's good and smile. Because my mother was mentally ill, undiagnosed, untreated, and we grew up in
mhm.
a hoarder house. And I moved 83 times by the time I was 18. Like, I never really had a home growing up ever. And so I just have to say, things are good at home. How are things? Things are good. Things, and stop people almost like before you finish. Everything's good. And a
Yeah.
big smile. And so I think being authentic, being honest, and I also
Yes.
know that secrets keep us stuck and sick
Yes.
often. And when we
Yes.
expose the secret, well, that's not really true. That's not how I lived. And it wasn't
Mhm,
okay. It was horrible. And it
mhm.
was sad. And I cried myself to sleep every night for the first 20 years of my life. Like that freedom in saying that was the
Yes.
truth. It doesn't mean my life was horrible in
Yeah.
every area or that it was always going to be horrible. It was just immensely sad. And so I
Yeah.
think you're right, is that don't tell about anything. And now all of a
Mhm.
sudden it's like, what if I ask and tell about everything? And what if,
Yeah.
and I'm not saying you have to tell every gritty detail of your life. But when
Yes.
I write a book, I'm writing to show people what's possible, what I've
Yes.
come through, what I've become, all of the different things. So
Yeah. You're
anyway,
worth being seen.
yes, yes, right. We all have value. That's beautiful. All right. How about this, Bethany? I know you coach, I know you work with people. Can you tell us a story about someone you met, maybe in a face of disruption of sadness, and how they worked with you and where they are now? Please don't share names, but
Oh
just
yeah.
just a story. Most people know that, but just for my own
Yeah.
sake, disclaimer: don't share
Yes.
the company or the individual, because just to be
Yes. Yes, no, that's great. Okay, so really long story short, I love working with counselors. I love working with pastors. I love working with those that are constantly pouring out with other people because it's really hard. I don't know if you get it. I know you do actually. For us to receive
yes,
because it's so much easier to give out to other people. But
yeah,
that thing going on, my biggest don't tell them that. Shh. But my biggest thing is that a lot of people who love to pour out love the idea of, ooh, I can have a small group. And so that's what I started advertising. I'm like, I can help you with that small group. When in
Oh,
actuality, I'm creating a place for them to be seen, for them
mhm.
to feel soothed, for them to feel secure, for them to feel safe. But I'll tell them that. So anyway, if anybody's looking for that, but that's what I get to do. I work with groups of 6 to 8 people, and they
Okay.
come in there thinking, and they are, a lot of them do build groups like this where they're seen and safe and soothed and secure, and they work on their story. But they usually go for the first 6 months where they kind of crash land and go, oh, shoot, I need this. I really need this. And so it's amazing to watch these people from so many different backgrounds. It's amazing. And I've gotten to see people come up with the idea of like, wait a second, I really want to write a book.
Mm.
And I think I want to start writing. And they go from, I think I'm going to do this to, I wrote this chapter today to, oh my goodness, I got a computer and I bought my own laptop and now I'm doing this and I'm going, I'm just watching it. And they're like, you didn't tell me this was going to happen. I'm like, I didn't know it was going to happen. But here's what it is. Here's what it is. And you know this. When we feel connected and seen and safe, that's when creativity starts.
Yes.
That's when these dreams become reality because we don't have to do it alone.
Yeah.
And we have people, these people meet week to week to week to week, and they get to see each other grow. They get to see each other share their stories, and they get to sit around the table where nobody leaves. That's
Yeah.
huge. So many times we share a story and people leave, or
Yeah.
people don't ask curious questions, or
Yeah.
people don't know how to be there. And
Yeah.
so that's the story. That's just one of this. I'm thinking about so many others, but a lot of mine lately, go knock on wood, is writing, which I don't plan any of that. I just offer these safe spaces and I watch God move. And it's just amazing how many people need that, but they haven't had the opportunity to have it themselves. You cannot offer what you yourself have not received.
That's right. And you create space, you create support. I do small groups as well. And I just love when people go, I can really do this. And I'm like, yeah, you can. You can
Again.
speak, you can write the book, you can share your story in a way that isn't just about you. It's about the
Yes.
lessons you've learned that can help other people. And you are
Yes.
right, caregivers, that's why it's like care for the caregivers because they burn out and then they walk away from the faith. They walk away from
Yes.
the hospital. They walk away from the therapy because they've given more than they had to give out. My mother was very
Yes.
much trained us that it was selfish to care for yourself. And that's a
Mm,
total rewiring in my brain to get to the point like it's
yes.
not selfish, it's
Yes.
self-will. And when I try
Yes.
to pour to the point of depletion, I become resentful, angry,
Mhm.
bitter, all of the things that she was is like, let yourself be filled so that you can pour from the
Yes.
place of full, not empty. So I always say self-care is never selfish, it's self-full. And when we're
Yes.
full, we can care for more. But when we're empty, we can't. So you're right.
Yes.
Perfect, Bethany. I love that.
Yes. Yes. And one of my friends, his name is Bob Hamp, says it's like this: we have to receive so that we can contain, so that we
Mm.
can broadcast. And if you think about that, like, well, duh, that makes sense. Like a lot of us are trying to broadcast off an empty tank, and no wonder we're not getting really anywhere. And
Okay.
so it's that whole idea. And I hated when people said this to me as a single mom. But it is true. You can't put the oxygen mask on somebody else without putting it on yourself first.
For sure.
And it's so hard, but it is true, and you're worth doing that.
Yeah,
I think somebody just needs to hear that today. You're worth it. You are worth taking the time, taking the pause, taking the breath in. You're worth putting the oxygen mask on.
that's right. Taking care of yourself first. Beautiful. I know we have listeners jumping on and off, and I just want to remind you we love to hear where you're from. We love to hear what you're taking away. We love to hear how we can support you through your disruption. Bethany, if you could just tell the listeners one piece of wisdom, what would it be? So we know there's people facing literal disruption, personal disruption, professional disruption, burnout, all those things. What would be your lasting words of encouragement to them on their journey?
Wow. I think I have to go back to my motto. My kids even know it, but it goes deeper than that. But I always end my business is called Step Out and Thrive. And it goes with dare to do more than just survive. Step out and thrive. And I think there's so many of us, and I was one for the longest time, that thought my story is all about survival. And I'm not knocking anybody this because there is so much elements of our story that is about surviving, but there's so much more. There is so every day we're given opportunities to see beauty, right?
Yeah.
Not only in our lives, but in the lives of others. And if we're so stuck at looking over what we survived, we're not looking at what all is and where we can go. And so
Yes.
that's my biggest thing for people is that, yes, your story is important. I want you to tell your story, but there's stories going on right now too. So
That's
don't get stuck in what was, but find yourself in what is and grab people around you that can walk out in what can be.
I love that. I was trying to get I teach people to be professional speakers. So most of my work is speaking, but I teach people to be professional speakers or write a book. And I was like, how can I say it in the shortest way? And I think that you're saying it. So I'm like, it's 4 words. When I'm
Yes.
teaching, I say 4 words. First, get your audience to think, whether they're reading your book or they're listening to you speak or workshop, get them to think, right? So
Yes.
that most
Yes.
of the time when we're thinking about our own story, our own overcoming, our own think. Then
Yep.
get them to feel, bring them there. Don't
Mhm.
just tell them, show them, right? So think, feel,
Yes.
then get them to laugh. By golly, our brain works better when we have some humor, even in the hard stuff. So get them to laugh.
Yes.
But the final step, which is what I think you're saying, is then invite them to become.
Yes.
To not let that pain be their defining moment. It can be a jump start. It can be they survived this and that. But what did they learn, and how can that help
Yes.
other people in their own journey? Which is why I started H3 TV in 2020. Was there is hope, health, and happiness after the hard, in the midst of the
Yes.
hard, if we're
Yes.
willing to heal. We have to do our healing work, right? So we
Yes.
can move forward. And so I love Bethany
Yes.
that you're saying, don't just
Yeah.
be a survivor, thrive, use it for good. Take all that pain, all that passion, and use it for good. Make it your purpose to serve others when you have first cared for yourself. So I
I
love
love
it.
that. And
Beautiful.
one thing I'm hearing from you too is yes, I'm almost hearing the becoming, but I'm hearing in order to become, you first need to understand and experience what it is to belong. And you're offering that, and I'm offering that. And so I just want to shout out to the person out there. If you're feeling alone, you don't have to be. There's places that you can connect with. So I'm just hoping that you can just take the first step today because you do belong and we want to see you become. And you've got this. I'm cheering for
Join a
you.
community. That's right, Bethany.
Yes.
I love it. Bethany, so tell us, I know my audience is going to love you. Where is the best way for them to find you, to connect with you, to get to know you?
Yeah, so just like you, I do a million things. So I've learned, a friend of mine told me, you just need to put everything on one place. I'm like, oh, that's brilliant. And so I have what's called a splash page. I didn't know there was such a thing, but I like making splashes. So that's what we call it. But it's called BethanyJoy.fyi. So BethanyJoy.fyi. There's tons of other things on there, but that way you can find all of my goodness in one place. And yeah, there you go.
Well, you have the perfect name. You definitely exuberate joy. Even if life is hard, even if it's challenging, I love your humor. I love that you're raising 3 beautiful boys, young men into our world, and that they're getting to experience what true joy is and true
Mm,
perspective is.
mm.
You are a gift to many. I am just getting to know you, but I can already feel that. And I thank you to our listeners for listening to beautiful Bethany and her joy, to listening to us with some encouragement on how to stay hopeful, healthy, and happy in the face of disruption. And if you have a story to share, which we all do, we all have a story, and you're willing to strain it down and you need a community, myself or Bethany are here to support you on your journey to sharing that story, whether it's just with your small group community, whether it's in a book, or whether it's speaking on stages. We love to hold your story sacred, celebrate the wins with you, support you, and hold you accountable to getting it out into the world, however that's meant for you. Thank you for being with me, Bethany. Thank you to our listeners, and we'll see you next week.